This is Vince Russo's The Brand.
Yo, what's up, everybody, and welcome back to Wrestling with Tragedy. It is the man himself, me, the dad bod god, the ball, the beard, the fucking beautiful Piers Austin. And once again, I am joined by the ECW original, the Kingpin, Angel motherfucking Medina, and the two-man power trip, the third man on the Wrestling with Tragedy team, Mr. John Silvertongue Paz. Gentlemen, welcome back to another episode. Great to see you again.
Oh, thank you, man. Hey, man, what did I tell you about giving us an intro more than 2 minutes, bro? You got to hit it on the 2-minute mark. Can't be doing that too fast, brother.
I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry. I'm just, I'm excited. Dude, I'm just like recovering my voice back here, bro. So, you put me on the spot. You asked me to open it up.
There you go.
So,
what happened to the voice? What happened to your voice?
Yeah, like some type of like virus or some shit, some Australian shit.
Yeah. So, like, I had a stomach bug that one of my kids picked up, and I was violently, not COVID. I was violently ill, vomiting for about 24 hours straight, every hour on the hour. So that basically put a massive strain on my vocal cords and back muscles and everything like that because I was heaving. But I'm all good now on the recovery. Just sound a little bit shitty in the voice, but you
can't tell the difference between your normal voice, so you're doing good.
True.
Oh, well, thank you very much, Angel, for once you're actually putting me over and not having a jab. So I appreciate that. But before we go on any further, Angel, why don't you take it away and thank one of our sponsors?
He just wants me to do the healthvape.com. Definitely check out healthvape.com. It's a definitely health alternative for all you people out there that just wants to kick the nicotine habit. See, I said it right. I focused. I was focusing. But for all you guys out there who definitely want that alternative, they have the Restore, the Vital Energy Boost. Is the best thing on the market right there. Use promo code MWAPOD for 10% off. Healthfaith.com is Kingpin approved. Wrestling with Tragedy is on it. Check it out.
Oh, yeah. And while you're checking things out, ladies and gentlemen, check out sleeps.com. That's SLEEFS, sleeps.com. They have all your athletic wear and apparel. They've got compression pants, compression socks, compression shorts, armbands. They've got headbands. They've got mouth guards. They've got boots. And they've even got dirty boxes. And I have to say, they've sent me boxes of these dirty boxes. And these boxes are pretty damn comfortable, fellas, I've got to say. They stay dry. They stay fresh. And you know what? They got some funky designs. So when the belt buckle comes undone at the end of the day, Mrs. Austin has a nice little giggle at what's on the front of my shorts. But guys, check out sleeps.com. Check out those dirty boxes. Use promo code MWAPOD to get a 10% discount on your final purchase. So, gentlemen, this week we are bringing case number 99. We are almost at case number 100, which means we are almost at episode 100 of Wrestling with Tragedy, and it has been quite an amazing ride. This episode that we're going to be doing, to me, I was always intrigued by this tag team, I must say, because when I first saw this team, I saw it on a VHS I got from my local video store, and I saw these two white guys that were dressed up like gangsters, and coming out doing the hey, and having the whole place going crazy. I didn't know if this was like a comedy spot. I didn't know what this was, and then I saw these guys get in the ring and have some of the most violent matches in early ECW history.
Well,
and that is Public Enemy.
Well, I mean, the thing about Public Enemy, I mean, they're a nostalgia, of history with ECW. I mean, I never liked them. I'm not saying bad things about them. I just never felt their gimmick. When I watched it, I just didn't I didn't understand it. It didn't click for me, but it clicked for the fans. I mean, they had some epic matches with a lot of, the Eliminators, the Gangsters, the infamous the chairs getting thrown into the ring, moment. I can't remember. Did they do the one when the ring collapsed? Is that one of theirs too?
And they were dancing, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I mean they're legends. It's just like I said, I just never saw it for myself. I just never got excited when I used to, I'm not saying watch it, but learn from wrestling when I was training and stuff like that, watching these shows. But again, they had something that caught the fans' attention. It's just they never caught mine.
So interesting about them. It's like, okay, at first when you look at them, like just like Pierce said, it's almost like a comedy thing. It's like almost like an ironic thing that the crowd's cheering from. It's like, okay, these white guys pretending they're black. Like, all right, I get it, it's funny, but then they get in there and they're like brawlers and they're tough and everything else. So you kind of fall in love with them just as a team, just because their charisma and there's just them being tough as nails. But it is kind of weird. It's like I wonder what the thought process was with Heyman. It's like it's definitely somewhat of a comedy if, at first anyway, like when first glance, like them with the hands waving and dancing and the hot stepper theme song. I mean, it had to have been a thought of like, okay, this is going to be a little jokey. Let's see where we can go with it. Right. I mean, had to be at first.
Oh yeah,
But
absolutely. I mean, it was a comedy spot, I mean, but they took it to a serious level. Anyway, Pierce, go ahead.
I was gonna say, like, they basically like Too Cool took exactly what Public Enemy did on a bigger stage, right? So like
Yep.
what Paul Heyman did was like with a lot of stuff that ECW did and where Paul drew inspiration from was society at that time, what was happening in society, what was happening in pop culture, what was happening in movies, what was happening in music, what was big in music around that time, Vanilla Ice. You know what I mean? Like that was, you know what I mean? Maybe that was part of an inspirational point for Public Enemies. Like, okay, well, let's have these two white guy rapper type dudes out there together. But do you guys remember seeing a match in ECW and it was Public Enemy versus Terry Funk and Dory Funk Jr.?
Oh, it's a good one. I don't remember
Nah,
it, but that's a good one.
it was a bloody war. Like it was a bloody war. I remember at one point, I think like Ted Petty, like Rocco Rock, was like hanging upside down near the entryway in
Oh, I
ECW.
saw that. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, I
Yeah,
remember because he
fucking
hung him
straight.
upside down. I just didn't
Yeah,
remember that was Terry Funk
Yeah.
and
Yep.
Dory Funk. They used it in the opening of the
Yeah.
ECW opening
Yeah.
music that they hung him up from the thing.
but that was like Eastern Championship Wrestling. Like that was back before it went extreme.
Go ahead, John. I thought you was gonna say something.
Oh, I was just thinking. Obviously, they have so many memorable moments. You mentioned that one, the chair throwing in the ring, Hardcore Heaven '94 versus Cactus
Yeah,
Jack and Terry Funk. Very, very memorable stuff. It's funny they're always kind of known, even the Funkadori thing, which I didn't remember the match, but I remember that spot with the hang upside down. But there
yeah.
were like so many memorable things. Like, okay, Funk asks to throw a chair in the ring, then they throw all the chairs in the ring, and the Public Enemy are kind of stuck underneath. I mean, the visual that is nuts, especially when they pan out and you see everybody throwing the chairs. Wow, I mean, they're such a great part of the lore of ECW, but those memorable spots where you can literally put it on the opening package and just do Public Enemy spots on, you know what I mean, all over the opening package, and be like, that's extreme, that's ECW, that's Public Enemy.
You know what's funny?
What?
Good.
I was just gonna say, like, you talk about the chair spot where like they've got the chairs flying in the ring, and the announcers made the announcement to tell everyone, "Hey, shut the fuck up, stop throwing chairs and all that sort of stuff." How many more independent promotions since then when ECW went out of business have we seen where that's happened? I can name two off the top of my head. I've seen it on CCW shows, or I saw it at a CCW show in the early shows, like maybe 99, 2000. And I also saw it on Ring of Honor, did the same spot as well.
I was at that show. It's pretty funny. So it was supposed to be Samoa Joe versus Necro Butcher. I think it's the Night of the Butcher, whatever they were calling it. And Samoa Joe gets taken out with a knee injury. He's really injured, but he was under TNA contract, and TNA let him do ROH bookings. But it was weird the way they booked him. It was very much like touch and go, where he'd be promoted and be announced for matches, and they didn't want him getting hurt. And obviously he had a legit knee injury, so it was like very touch and go. So it's like, okay, who the hell is Necro Butcher going to fight? And the crowd was pissed. Like, okay, takes him out. Homicide comes out. The crowd goes nuts. Your boy Angel, super over in ROH. He does the match.
Don't know why.
Oh my god. Low blow. He comes out. He takes on Necro Butcher. The crowd's very happy. You know, we go nuts. Everybody goes nuts. He asks for them to throw in some chairs. I mean, and in ECW, it was like the metal folding chairs. These are like the plastic chairs. So I mean, they'll hurt, especially from a distance, but not that bad. Everybody starts throwing the chairs. So me and my buddy, we just get up and we're sitting next to some guy who was literally just came from work. He was wearing like a suit. He like snapped. He was going crazy. He goes, "Can I have your chairs?" We're like, because we don't want to really throw it in and you know, injure somebody, even though it's kind of fun to be a part of it. But I was like, I don't know if I want to throw it in and injure Necro Butcher who's sitting there. So I'm like, I gave the guy my chair. The guy tosses my chair, tosses my friend's chair, nails Necro Butcher, and then the security went nuts. Security snapped. They're like, "Stop throwing chairs, everybody! Stop!" But it was Homicide, much like Terry Funk, that was the person that was guilty of making everybody throw the chairs in the ring. But it was an awesome experience. Homicide got the win. He nailed a move onto like a whole sea of chairs on Necro Butcher. But it was awesome to be a part of that because it's like, wow, this is cool as hell. I wonder how it looked on tape, and it looked awesome on tape.
Do you think it was do you think it was a genuine, like, organic thing that happened, or do you think it was something that they staged to look like what happened in ECW?
It's funny
back then? Like,
whenever Gabe was booking, I could hardly tell. Because I remember one time they did a riot, and then you realized after the fact that it looked like it was like a real riot, but there was some wrestlers mixed in, like to start it off when they do like the riots. You're like, all right. I was like, oh man, I almost got like Gabe always did that stuff like Heyman, where you didn't know if it was real or not. So I'm not sure, but it seemed like Homicide kind of went on his own and kind of asked for them to throw some chairs in the ring. I don't think he knew everybody was going to throw all their chairs in the ring because security like snapped. I mean, they went nuts. I mean, they were like on the mic, "Stop throwing the chairs!" Like the security guy was like tackling people. So maybe a few people, and it was like staged, like the CCW bottle thing. Maybe a few people throwing in bottles, and everyone starts doing it. So it could be one of those kind of incidents. But I don't know. It seemed genuine to me. And I was sitting, fifth row, whatever it was. I was sitting in the crowd.
I'm surprised you were in the fifth row. I mean, I figured you'd be in the front row.
Yeah, right.
You know, but I mean, that's pretty interesting. That what?
Homicide's little tribute there. His tribute to ECW, tribute to the Funkster. And Public Enemy. Really.
He should have just stuck with his lariat, Kojima. You
know, Kojima knocked him out with that. You know that
with the lariat.
Yeah, he knocked him loopy.
Good.
You ever see that match, Final Battle 03?
No.
Pretty good. Oh, it's pretty good.
You know what's funny? I know Homicide, like I said, since I was a teen, in my 20s, like early 20s. I rarely watched his matches. Not to be disrespectful. I know, seriously. I only see like a couple matches. I mean, I don't even watch low key. I mean, I rarely watch the boys' matches.
Angel, your jealousy is showing.
But
dude, Homicide is like, not to get off topic, but Homicide is probably one of like.
No, Homicide's a hell of a worker.
He's one of the most underrated guys, and it's almost like criminally underrated.
I agree.
How good he was. Like he is, I should say. I apologize. He's just an amazing worker. His gimmick is just on point. Like, it's just believable.
It's not believable. It's him.
Yeah, well, that's the thing.
That's the thing that he's not pretending. It's him.
Yeah, but back to Public Enemy, man. Anyway. Like these guys, like Ted Petty, he was a Gleason's guy as well. Angel, you were telling me. Like, did you ever have any not run-ins with him, but like, did you ever like bump into him at the gym?
No, Ted Petty. Look, I mean, I never met Ted Petty. I never knew him. I just knew he was at Gleason's. He was known as the Cheetah Kid. He was jacked. I mean, very great physique. Because Johnny pointed at it on the wall. Oh, that's the Rocco Rock guy. And I'm like, that's him, because he had a phenomenal body. He was a luchador. He was doing a lot of luchador style aerial moves, and then of course he just does. Into the ECW. I'm not saying he's just done brawls, because if you watch his match, he does a couple aerial moves, but I never, but he doesn't do what he used to do. And that was pretty interesting how you can transition from being one thing, which like I was a wrestler, doing moves, Steve Regal type of moves and stuff like that, to just matches of straight up hardcore matches. And when people saw me wrestle and do those moves, they were like, oh shit, I didn't know you wrestled. I was like, oh yeah, I'm a wrestler.
That's the funny thing about Rocco Rock, and I always said this, like, he's way better worker than Johnny Grunge, but people didn't realize it's like, oh, they're just both brawlers. But like, no, you watch him as Cheetah Kid, or you watch like Rocco really can go. I mean, was a great worker, but he got more over doing the brawling and the Public Enemy gimmick than he did as Cheetah Kid or being the wrestler, quote unquote. So it's smart by him as you get older. I know obviously he would go through tables and do crazy stuff, but smart to kind of change direction on the character and just his work rate, really.
I just can't believe he's gonna, we were just talking about like he was 49 when he passed away in 2002. And I'm like, God damn, 49. And then I asked Pa, I was like, man, that makes some. And he threw out the number, he'd be 69 if he was around today. I'm like, God damn.
Yeah, he's old, yeah. Or
Yeah,
would have been old, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't think he was that old, because I'm 50, so I'm at the age where he was at, and I'm like, God damn. So it's just crazy how he kept himself in shape. He looked great. I just didn't know he was at that age, I mean, 49 is not old. It's just I just didn't think he was that up there at the time.
But like they left ECW and went to WCW as well at one point, didn't they?
Yes. Oh yeah, for a while. They were in WCW for 3 years. Former WCW Tag Team Champions. Huge upset on Nitro, beating Harlem Heat, who was kind of the staples, if you will, of WCW Tag Division.
Definitely at that time, for sure. Like, like I heard a rumor that they actually won the tag titles on a joke, where it's like the Harlem Heat goes, "Oh, who's going over tonight?" And Dusty or someone the book goes, "Yeah, you're putting the Public Enemy over, ha ha ha," and they thought it was serious, and that's how they got the titles.
Well, Sullivan was booking. He wanted to do a little bit of a shock fight. He loved Public Enemy. He's the one that actually got them to WCW because there was one point when they were in ECW, kind of running out of, I guess, not out of money, but they weren't getting paid what they thought they could be getting paid. Sullivan is boys with Todd Gordon. Sullivan and obviously Todd Gordon's close Public Enemy, but Sullivan's also boys with those guys. So he's like, hey, if you guys want to make some more money, I have an opening in the tag division. We could definitely use you guys here. So they had a tryout for WWF. They wrestled Smoke and Guns. I don't even think they used Public Enemy. I think they were using like Cheetah Kid and Johnny Rotten or something. I don't even know if they used the Public Enemy gimmick, but WWF was going to sign them. They go to Sullivan. They're like, oh, we're going to get signed here for X amount of dollars. And Sullivan's like, if you sign here, you're going to make this much and you probably don't have to work as much. You might have less dates. Boom, they get signed immediately. And Sullivan already knew them and liked them. So he was going to have a spot for him no matter what. So he got him into WCW. And the thing about them winning the tag titles, Public Enemy was kind of like the upset kids, I guess, for a little bit. Not so much upsets. I mean, they had an awesome feud with the Nasty Boys, but Harlem Heat against them, if you look at the size difference, everything else, you'd be like, okay, Harlem Heat's going to kill them. It was a nice little, they were only champ for about a week. So it was a nice little shock, especially on Nitro when they like to do a little shock value. It was a good surprise for the show.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes it's good to a little hot potato with a title.
Or like Yep.
Now, just curiosity, I can't remember, but them going to WCW, was that after the WWE run or WWF run when they got the?
No, that was before that.
Okay.
So they went to ECW for, I think it was 90, I would say 93 to about 96, about 4 years. And then WCW, they started in 96 and they ended up leaving somewhere around 98. So it was like 4 years in ECW, 3 years in WCW.
Yeah, and they went back to, did they go back to ECW after WCW like in 98 for like 6 months to a year?
Yep. And apparently they had a little bit of problems with the Dudley Boys, your boys, Kingpin. But you probably know more about this than we do. What's the true story here? They had heat backstage with the Dudleys, I guess.
No, I didn't know. I didn't know how much heat they had. I should ask Steve on that. I just didn't know how much heat they had. I know they had some problems, but I think it's probably because if I'm really looking at it from a different angle, I'm assuming that they just thought they would come in and take over, like where they left off, And since the Dudleys were already at the top at that point. I think it's not egos. I just think, the guy walks through the door and starts demanding shit. And then maybe that took offense because that's what happened in WWF. They started making all these suggestions, saying all this shit. And then unfortunately, they get their ass handed to them by the APA. Right. So I could see that happening. That was the reason why. But I never asked Devon about that. I just knew that they had some animosity towards each other.
So what I actually was watching some Bradshaw talk about this recently, and he actually said his statement was that they got given the finish by the agent, and Public Enemy got given the finish by the agent. And the finish was Public Enemy's going to get put through the table, and APA stands strong, goes off, right? Before they go out, when they're in Gorilla, Public Enemy say to Bradshaw, "Hey, we don't like the finish," which was we don't want the table spot, and that's like the whole finish, right? So, like Bradshaw's going, "Oh, well, okay." So he's gone to Ron Simmons and gone, "So these guys don't want the table," and he goes, "Well, shit, we'll take the table to them, brother." And they went out there and they beat the living fucking brakes off of the Public Enemy. He goes, they beat the shit out of him. And he said, going backstage, he goes, we were expecting to have a shoot. Like, we went back to Gorilla and we stood there waiting for them to come back, and we were ready to throw hands in the back. And he goes, Grunge and Rocco Rock, they came back, they shook our hands, they thanked us for the match, and then they left.
I wouldn't want to mess with Bradshaw and Simmons. I know the Public Enemy are pretty tough, but I don't know if you want to mess with those guys. Or the Dudleys, for that matter.
Well, the thing is, man, sometimes you got to step to the plate knowing that you're going to get your ass kicked. You can't sometimes, and I'm not saying this is, that's what they did. I'm just saying, if you walk away, you don't want to be known as like a punk or anything. So you got to be careful. You know what I mean? Like, you just don't want to be taken advantage of. And I'm not saying Public Enemy deserve what they got. I'm just saying, like, if I give you my body and you start beating the brakes off it, especially if like really take advantage of it, yeah, that's probably some major heat and boots to asses. I mean, I don't care if it's Bradshaw or Ron Simmons. If they're gonna kick my ass, they're gonna know they're gonna know my name at the end of that night.
Yep.
So
it's funny. PJ was telling me a great story, and Sean Waltman told me a story too. That X Factor was due to face APA. And APA thought they were going over. They get the finish from the agents. The agents like, no, X Factor is going over. So Bradshaw and Simmons were like, well, we're going to get our shit in and we're going to look good in putting you guys over. So he said, PJ and Waltman said they stiffed the shit out of them. They beat the hell out of them. And obviously X Factor goes over, but they still look good because they beat them up. So they get to the back and they're thinking, I don't know, maybe they're going to say something to them. They shake their hands, nothing. They just walk away like smooth sailing. Undertaker walks up to him, and for some reason he always called PJ. I know it's Peter, but he goes, Peter. And he's like, yes, what's up, Mark? Whatever, what's up, Taker? Or whatever. I think he said, what's up, Taker? And he's like, how you feeling? He's like, not so great. Whatever. He goes, but whatever. He goes, those guys, they stiff you out there. And he's like, nope, all good. And he's like, are you sure? He goes, because I'll say something. And he goes, nope, all good. And he walked away. So it's almost like you can't say anything regardless. I doubt Taker would say anything like negative to those guys, but he might be like, hey, lighten up or something. But I think that's just like the way it is with those guys. I mean, you're going to give it and get it. You know what I mean? Like you said, you just got to give it back. But PJ Waltman didn't give it back.
Yeah, but you got to think about it like this. Look at the difference that happened in, the Blue Meanie situation and Stevie Richards killing Bradshaw with that chair shot as a receipt.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same thing, dude. I mean, do you really want to face the beast? I commend Stevie for stepping to the plate for his friend and just giving that guy a receipt. So the same thing, like either it's pick and choose your battles, like, but you don't want to walk away like, and I understand because that happened to me with Sid Vicious when he chokeslammed me and I hit my head on the floor outside the ring, and Devon's like, you okay? And I'm like, yeah, Devon, I'm all right. And he goes, you sure? And I'm like, yeah, I'm fine, I'm okay. He was really adamant and wanted me to say something, but of course that mindset, like, I don't want heat, I don't want problems, I gotta suck it up, and then you keep pushing forward. But that's the old me now. I'll be fucking opening up my mouth,
Yeah, because you're a veteran and you have no fucks left to give, bro. That's, you know what I mean? Like that. Let's be honest, Angel. Like back then, you were what, like still fresh into ECW. You know what I mean? Like still doing ring crew stuff like that. Now you walk into a fucking company and guys come up and treat you with respect because you're the veteran. You know what I'm saying? Like there's a difference now.
Yeah, I don't know. It's like I said, you just become that grizzled veteran. I don't hate the business. It's not that. It's just you get to that season thing, like, fuck it, I just don't care. That's the thing.
But certain guys are going to be stiff with you. like they always said, the Nasty Boys or the Dudley Boys, Steiner Brothers. Like you kind of just got to give it back. That's their style. I know, obviously, Waldman and PJ are smaller than those guys, so maybe they got
No,
stiffed a
the,
little bit, but
the one thing about Johnny that I know for sure is that he trained us like it's like a give and take. If you're smooth, I'm smooth. If you're firm, I'm firm. If you're stiff, I'm stiff. So when the first blow hits, it's funny because that's how we all are. Louis, Chung. I mean, everybody acts the same way. So like we wrestle, and let's say you get hit like a good stiff shot, and Johnny taught us this, and it's funny because we all do it. Boom, you get hit, and you get your bell rocked, and you go, "Oh,
right,
it's on." So that's the trigger to say, okay, now I know where we're at. So like snooker, when I wrestle snooker, smooth as ice. Okay, now I know where I'm at. Now, if you stiff me with a big boot, some crazy move, and I go, okay, now I know. And then I take it to that level.
But if he does that, stiffs you, and then like backs you into a corner, and like before doing something, just goes, "Fuck, sorry, brother, that was a huge accident. All right, whip off." And would you then be like, "Okay, no worries, we're still at that next level," or you're like, "Okay, start fresh"?
No,
or does it depend on the guy, though?
You just know the difference.
Like if Sid does it, you kind of get a because he's such a big name, or Snuka, wouldn't you kind of give him a little leeway, or does it not matter? Like for instance, Ron Simmons, PJ would say, like I gave him leniency. Obviously, he's tough as nails anyway, but you got to give him leniency because he's Ron freaking Simmons. It's like, do you give bigger names leniency or no?
No, I don't, because because the way Johnny trained us, we're not going to let somebody. We give you our body to to put you over. If you don't break your toys. John used to say, you don't break your toys. So if you break your toys, you're not gonna be able to play with it again. So if you hurt me or stiff me, and like Rob Van Dam, great guy, but he's stiff. I mean, he's strong style. Boom, and rock me with that kick, and I go, okay, all right, here we go, that's how my mind works, and the same thing with I love Too Cold strong style. And when the first time I wrestled him, I didn't know. And then boom, I said, "Oh shit!" I sat there in the ring. I'm like, "All right, I know where we're at."
But did Public Enemy have the rep of being stiff in the ring? I know obviously the brawls and the crazy matches, but did they have that rep like Scorpio?
I don't know. I didn't know. I don't think they had that ref of being stiff. Chetty was stiff. The people you thought was smooth was stiff, and the people you thought was stiff was smooth. Like Balls and Axel.
Really?
They weren't stiff for me.
Because I always heard the head shrinkers, which is shocking because they look like they're killing people, were smooth as ice. And I was like, sometimes like DeVito was saying, because I was like, oh, the Steiner brothers killed you. And he's like, he goes, it looked worse than it was. I said, really? I was like, this just, I don't know, it just looks like the Steiner brothers. You know what I mean? Some of those guys just look worse than it is, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, some
guys even you look at Bret Hart. Bret Hart looked like he was like killing people when he with his hit punches and kicks, and there was no one ever said Bret was stiff.
No, I don't think Bret was stiff. He was a solid worker, smooth
snug
worker. Yeah, the snug and the stiff. There's a difference.
But did Public Enemy? Did they have what was the rep though on Public Enemy that it seemed like they kind of rubbed people the wrong way? So it wasn't in the ring. Was it behind the scenes? Maybe they rubbed some people the wrong way.
I just think they just believe their own hype, man. I think they walked on water, and I'm not knocking them or anything because I never faced them. I don't know their mannerisms. I never had any, we never crossed paths. But it just stories just was they just thought they were the king and the king shit, and they were, like I said, they walked on water. And they needed to be like, oh, thank you for coming here. May I kiss your ring? May I carry your bags? That type of mentality. But again, I don't know. That's just hearsay,
I mean, you see what the problem that they had there in WWF at the time, with the APA. But then to go backstage and then be cool and be like, all right, man, cool. Thank you very much. Shake hands and then we're done. Like that's Angel, would you say that's like just leaving it in the ring, stuff like that? But then the Public Enemy would never seen in WWE again after that match.
I heard they packed up their bags and left after that APA match. John, can you confirm that?
Pretty much, yeah. they're pretty much gone after that.
I think,
But
yeah,
I
I
don't
think
think
what
they were long for WWF. You know what I mean? I don't think that was like their style. And it seemed like they brought him in because they had a name. They're probably going to job do all their tag teams, but I don't. They didn't seem to fit in WWF. You know what I mean?
Well, I
Not
just think
right.
that I just think that, like I said, I think after they shook their hands, hey, thank you, appreciate the match, and they just went and got their bags and took off. Like fuck it, it's a wrap. That's pretty interesting. I wouldn't walk away from things like that. I mean, like I said, even though it's not your style or you don't fit the mold, but the paycheck looks good. I ride the wave until the fucking well runs dry. You know, that's the thing. I mean, if I would just yeah, it's all about the money at the end of the day, and I would have definitely because I don't think how much were they getting paid in WCW? Pretty decent, right?
Yeah, I think probably like 200K a year, something like that. They were paid pretty nice.
Yeah, so and
Each.
bonuses,
Yeah,
yeah.
each. Yeah.
So if they were
That's
there
pretty.
for, yeah, I would definitely save my money, invest it right, you know, and stuff.
I actually believe, and the APA thing happened, but they stayed for a little bit longer actually, because that was their second to last match. Their last match was against Jeff Jarrett and Owen Hart on Raw, and they obviously lose that match very, very quickly. And then they have a shotgun Saturday night match against the Hardy Boys. So near the end of the run was APA. So it was basically that's probably okay. We're leaving. You guys got to work a few more dates. You got to put over our tag champs, put over the Hardy Boys, and then you're gone. That's probably what happened.
There's a possibility, man.
Yeah.
But I mean, like I said, I don't know what happened in the back of the locker room in WWE, but I mean, like I said, was it their style? Did they fit the mold? I don't see Public Enemy as a legit team in WWF at the time. Now, knocking their style, it's just some things don't mesh. And I just didn't see them meshing there.
Yep.
How would you rate? Like, do you think Public Enemy, if they were around in 2022, would the gimmick resonate today?
Yeah, if they brought him out in a wheelchair, because he would have been 69.
I'm saying I'm not saying the actual, but I'm saying like the gimmick in itself. Like, do you like say the two performers in their prime in 2022, would they get over?
Sure.
I don't,
Well, if Orange Cassidy's over, these guys better be getting over. You know what I mean? If these weirdos in AEW are getting over, I would hope guys with actual charisma and they're not big guys, but a little decent bit of size would get over. I would hope.
dude, I admire Orange Cassidy. I'm not trying to get off track here, but like I said, it's like you said, it's like this is the shits. But but from a different perspective, like I am not getting hurt. I'm getting paid the same for doing this stupid shit. So fuck it. So that's the thing. I'm like, when I watch it, like, oh my God, what a disgrace. But from that other side of the fence, like, hey, but I'm not tearing no fucking ligaments. I'm not fucking pulling no muscle. It's just easy peasy.
It's like bushwhacker style. It's like, we don't have to kill each other anymore and bleed all over the place.
Yeah, the sheep herders. Yeah, but so the thing about like Public Enemy, what matches did you think was their staple of like fame? Was it the Dory Funk and the Terry Funk? Was it the Eliminators? Was it the Gangsters?
I was thinking like the Gangsters feud, because it's almost like these white rappers or whatever, these white wannabe guys against these tough black guys. That's like the ultimate parallel. And Heyman was loving that. Like, the blacks versus the whites. Ha. Like, this is gonna be crazy. And like Public Enemy's getting cheered. Like, they're kind of like almost like faces a little bit. You know what I mean? Because the crowd was so over with them. It's just, I don't know. I think the Gangsters, I like the Nasty Boys feud in WCW because they did the tables matches and the crazy stuff. I don't know, those two stick out to me the most. Although Eliminators, Pitbulls, Cactus, and Mikey had some good matches with them.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, I could see that. They had some good matches and stuff like that. But sometimes it's the person you're in the ring with. I'm not saying Public Enemies is drizzling the shits. I'm not saying that. But sometimes chemistry is the key, man. When you have that chemistry in the ring, when you're like, holy shit, that was a hell of a match. So they had some good chemistry with a lot of guys that made it look like takes two to tango,
like APA.
Like I said, I don't know if I would be able to. Again, back then I probably would have took it. Like I said, but if we would put the APA now, and with me, 100%, fit, yeah, I would have not took it. I would have gave it back. like I said, they would have known. They would have. I love Ron Simmons. I think Ron Simmons is awesome. Just saying, like, but I will earn my respect, and stuff.
I
So
wonder, like them, you saying backstage. I wonder if they really just rubbed everybody the wrong way, and
Probably.
like you said, believe their own hype because it did seem like they got into more incidents. Of course, we're just like from the fan perspective, and you're reading stuff, and you're reading the sheets and stuff, and you see all this stuff.
yeah.
But it seemed like they got in I don't know, a lot of arguments and stuff. Like the Dudley Boys, they had an issue with them. It seemed like they definitely, I wouldn't say attitude problem, but they definitely stuck to their guns, I guess, or maybe like you said, maybe believe their own hype, but they definitely not fan favorites in the backstage, it seemed like.
Yeah.
That's the thing, though. Like, a lot of people can say whatever they want now about, Public Enemy, but they're not here to defend themselves. They're not here to say their side of the story of what happened. So, yeah, they had run-ins with the Dudley Boys. They had run-ins with Bradshaw, Ron Simmons. They had, run-ins with other people as well. But, like, all these people that have come and said, oh, yeah, Public Enemy are the shits, they refuse to do this spot. Okay, but, like, what's the other half of that story? They didn't want to do that spot because why? Did it not make sense? And even in the clip that I was telling you about with Bradshaw, they said, yeah, this was just a regular match. It wasn't a tables match. It wasn't anything. So doesn't that make sense? Like, you know what I mean? Like, not going through a table. Like, if they say, yeah, the finish is you're going to go through a table, Angel, but it's just a regular tag match, are you going to question that?
Yeah, but I think it's again the ego of in regards to well, that's their gimmick. They're the ones that put people through tables. It's like if I don't know. I'm just saying like somebody trying to do a move that Sabu's known for, and then hey, I'm gonna hit you with this. Sabu like, nah, that's my gimmick, man. I don't think that work. You know
But
what I
also
mean?
Ted Petty at the time, like, what year did you say he was born? 1956. So
60,
like
66.
66.
Oh, you said Ted Petty?
Yeah, Ted Petty. Sorry.
No, I thought
53.
53. He was born 53.
So this is a 40-something-year-old man who's been in the business for a long time who's saying he doesn't want to do a spot. Like, what I would like to know is, okay, did he say why he didn't want to do the spot? Did he say, hey, why don't we do this spot instead? Like, was there anything back? Like, that to me is something like I've heard like the Dudley Boys talk, like say things about him, Public Enemy as well, but was there a reason for him not to? I mean, Ted Petty was a veteran in the business. You know what I mean? Like, should he have not have said certain things? Should he have said, no, that doesn't make sense? We're not doing that spot. I don't want to do that spot.
Yeah, but it depends, man. Like you don't come in somebody's house and start barking orders. You build up your respect, regardless if you're a veteran, you just want, I mean, like if I went to ROH, like at a certain point, like if I was there at the beginning, it's a different story. But if it was something like I walk in, I feel out the locker room, hey guys, how you doing? Try to build that rapport. You're not just gonna walk in like, hey, hey Angel, we're gonna hit you with this, huh? I ain't doing that. Like I said, you're kind of being disrespectful. There's a way to do things. There's a way of diplomacy to try to like, hey man, I have a better idea. What do you think? I think that's great, but just wondering, do you think that we should do it like this way? You know what I mean? You just can't be barking orders. I ain't doing that.
Yeah, exactly. You got to be respectful when you're going into someone's house. But
Yep.
I think that the passing of Public Enemy as well, like, Rocco Rock passed first, and then a couple years later, Johnny Grunge died shortly thereafter. Both their passings, man, they seem kind of sudden and out of nowhere, really.
And Angel, you know a lot about Rocco Rock's passing.
Well, yeah, I mean, apparently, he was dating one of my friends from Gleason's, one of the females. I don't want to put her name out there, but they were dating and they were going to the show. I think it was the what's the name of the show? Right here it says. Sorry, I'm just trying to get that name. Propane Pro Wrestling, and they were arguing in the car. Nothing too dramatic, just like they were just arguing. And apparently, the story is that he was just like, "Yo, he just let me sleep, just shut up, And then he just crossed his arms, leaning his head on the glass, fell asleep, and then when they got to their destination, he was still in the same position, and she tried to wake him up, and then realized he was no longer alive. He was saying he
Wow.
didn't feel good. He didn't feel good when they were arguing. Hey, I don't feel good. I'm not here to argue. Just let me sleep. That type of shit. So he was probably experiencing some issues at the moment, but not something to be concerned about. You know what I mean?
Yep.
That's wild. That's
You
wild.
know.
And Johnny Grunge's passing, as well. That was like
Sleep apnea, man. I mean, apparently complications of sleep apnea, but I'd heard other things on top of that, which
gimmicks.
Well, I mean, John, what do you think?
They were saying it had to do with obesity and him being overweight, but also they found some opioids and stuff, hydrocodone and stuff in his system. So if you're abusing those type of drugs, which seem to be the rage, if you will, with the wrestlers, and obesity, and you're not treating the sleep apnea, I think it's probably a combination of all three.
It just fucks with your breathing and stuff like that.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's just weird, like I said, drugs was the key thing back in the days. I mean, like I said, he had sleep apnea, he had the issues with his hydrocodone and all that stuff. But they said that Ted Petty didn't do drugs. His family's so adamant that he didn't have any type of drug issues. Apparently he had a heart condition that was known in his family. Meaning
wow.
meaning it was a hereditary thing.
Right. Interesting. Wow. Everyone always assumed, wrestler dies, he's only 40, dies of a heart attack. You know what I mean? They assume
Gimmicks.
not 40, I'm sorry, 49, we're 50, but still they assume gimmicks, they assume that. I never heard that. That's interesting.
Well, I mean, that's what said. I mean, I even looked up in some articles that said that the family, was maintained that Petty never used drugs, but that his death was caused by a congenital heart defect that runs in his family.
That's wild.
Wow.
Like it's, I think whenever you think someone dies young in professional wrestling, you automatically go to gimmicks.
Well, I mean, but look at Jerry Lawler. I mean, apparently, he didn't drink, he didn't smoke. The only vice he had was Coca-Cola. That was his favorite thing to drink. But apparently, what happened to him on Raw was apparently the same thing. Not the same thing, but apparently his dad had the same issue, and stuff like that. Look, John Ritter, the actor, apparently the way he died, his dad died the same way. It was just a defect that was from family history that ran through his family.
That's just fucking crazy. That's nuts. It's the same thing with Pillman, right?
He was probably doing some extracurricular activities.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
No. Pillman died of a hereditary heart condition.
Yeah, but he was doing a lot of gimmicks, and that
he was.
That was
his
contributing.
His dad died at the same age, within the same years. Yeah.
Yeah, but he did a lot of drugs. He was found in a hotel room with a lot of gimmicks that also probably didn't help.
Contributing factor. Yeah,
it was a contributing factor. I'm not saying he would not have died. I'm just saying that some wrestlers who do things like that, who have, I mean, again, you don't know what kind of condition you have, and stuff like that. Like my mom just told me, like I didn't know what I'm gonna say what I'm gonna die of, but all the men in my family dropped dead, because they drank a lot of alcohol, cirrhosis of the liver, passed away. My mom's side, my uncles died young, and then she was telling me just recently, she goes, yeah, your grandfather died of a heart attack, heart issues. Your grandmother had heart issues, but she was older, in the 80s. So I'm like, God damn. Am I gonna have a heart attack? That's why I eat right. That's why I maintain. I do my cardio, because I mean, if it's inevitable, it's inevitable. But I try to make sure that I'm not gonna be, keeling over like that. So,
100%. But guys, that has been the episode for this week. Case number 99, the Public Enemy. I think we covered a lot of good stuff here this week, guys. On Public Enemy, they had quite an amazing career. Do you in wrapping up and in final, do you think that they could have had a much bigger career in WWE, in WCW? Do you think that they could have been, legends in tag team wrestling if they could have just got along with other people?
I don't know. I never. I remember I told you in the beginning I did not feel the gimmick, not because I didn't like them. I just did not feel it. I don't know, man. I just can't put my finger on it to say, hey, yeah, they could have been like legends. It's possible, but again, since they died too soon, I just can't give them that kudos yet. John?
To me, I don't know, there's a ceiling to like that gimmick. Like you said, like it's kind of super gimmicky. White guys kind of pretending they're black, coming out to lottie daddy daddy, we likes to party and hot stepper and dancing around and doing the hands. So I don't see them as like the Road Warriors-esque greatest tag team. Like just there's a ceiling on a gimmick like that, like Bushwhackers. There's a ceiling on that gimmick. They're going to be over. They're going to make some money. They're going to have some entertaining matches. The crowd's going to love them, but they're not going to be like top tier, greatest of all time. It's just not there for those guys. And you don't necessarily have to be. Not everybody has to be the best, or there's different roles for everybody. That's why there's upper card, mid card, low card, whatever. You don't have to necessarily be the top guys or whatever and be over and be memorable. That's why I think the Public Enemy stands. It's kind of like a little bit of a cheesy gimmick, but you fell in love with it and thought it was a great gimmick. You just didn't think like, oh, these are guys are main eventers, or these guys are going to be the end all be all, or the draws of the show, or your golden gooses. They're just like the nice dressing, they'll get the crowd hopping, get over, get everybody excited, get the crowd moving, have a good match. But I don't think there's ever a thought of like, oh, these guys are going to be the greatest of all time. It's just a gimmicky tag team who was very good and had some very memorable brawls and some memorable feuds and some memorable moments. They're just not going to be Road Warriors or Steiner Brothers or something like that.
But it's funny, that you're hitting on the head right there. It's like it's the music. Like, for example, with the Public Enemy, it was the hot stepper. Mm-hmm. Like, and I'm using this as an example, and no disrespect to Sandman, but when Sandman used to come out, enter the Sandman and all that stuff, the crowd went wild. But when we went to WWE and they changed this music, it was kind of like
it wasn't the same gimmick.
Yeah, people was just not okay. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like sometimes the music makes the person.
Yep.
And if you take that factor away, not saying that taking away from their talent, but with the hot stepper thing, everybody was jumping through the ceiling. But what if it, but look at how it was when they came to WWF at the time with the different music. Public Enemy was just like, oh, wow, it's Public Enemy, yay, but not the excitement, the same energy.
I agree.
Just
and it's funny, a lot of the ECW I noticed, you know what I mean? Because that music was so popular and everybody loved the music. I feel like that was the case with a lot of those guys. Like once you take the music away, it's not as I don't know, they're not as over, like you said. I like Public Enemy's theme in WCW though. I love that theme.
What was it? Well, I can't remember. What was it?
It was like lottie dottie dottie, we likes to party. You gotta get up to get down. Basically, they sing their song, and it's like some fake hip hop song. Oh, it's great.
I love that shit.
It's cheesy as hell, but it's great.
I love cheesy 90s hip hop, bro.
He even got Pia News's music. Yo baby, yo baby, yo.
Yeah.
yo.
Do you know the funny? Before we go off the show, that when they told us nothing, I love him. He's a great guy. But it's funny because I remember the moment they're like, "Hey man, we're gonna have Pia News part of the Baldies," and the first thing is like, "You mean the motherfucker that yo baby yo?" And I was like, "Fuck." I was like, because I just couldn't get that out of my head. But he's a hell of a worker, great guy. It's just that character. I just like, fuck, man, we're gonna be shit on.
He was great in News.
Yeah, he's good.
I can just imagine you and DeVito walking out to yo baby, yo baby.
Yeah, I would have loved to have him do something like that in the ring now. But anyway.
Did you ever work Grunge? I know you didn't work Rocco Rock. Did you ever work Johnny Grunge?
I never worked those guys. I never met them. I never crossed paths. Like I said, we never had the opportunity to get in the ring. So, unfortunately because he died in 2002. And yeah, I mean, he was gone from ECW. He was way out of, we just never crossed paths. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, because he was, by the time he got to ECW, left ECW, Like, by the time you got to ECW, I should say, he was long gone, right?
Oh yeah, he was. Yeah, they were long gone. Long gone. Never.
But they
never
made a
met
return
them.
in '99. You weren't there in '99.
Yeah, I was there in '99. I just don't remember.
Gimmicks.
Gimmicks and CTE.
yeah.
I really,
Yeah.
dude. I saw videos of myself just recently on YouTube. Somebody posted a video. I was like, I remember it was the Baldies versus the Axel. I'm like, fuck. What was that? I don't remember. It's so many matches, man. Apparently somebody found out how many matches I done, and they gave me the list of how many. I won't remember all of them. I can't even remember the building. I'm like, man, the building looks familiar, but they all look the same after a while.
That's not good.
Like rats.
That's not good.
Not good at all. But anyway, man, let's get these sponsors out the way so we can definitely close off the show on a high note, like we always do.
Take it away.
Go ahead, John.
Health Vape. Healthvape.com. Go there. Get the healthy alternative to your nicotine need. Use that code MWAPOD. Healthvape.com is where it's at.
For everybody out there. Oh,
you go for it. You go for it, funky old Medina.
For all you guys out there, definitely want to step their game up on the field, any type of sports. Definitely check out sleeps.com. It's a definitely great website for all you athletes, like I said, to step your game up on the field. But definitely check out their dirty boxes. Those are my favorite, gear that they have on sleeps.com. Use promo code MWAPOD to get 10% off. I'm telling you, you won't regret it. The dirty boxes are the bomb. Check it out.
That's it. Until next time, guys, we are the Crack Investigation Unit of the Russo's Brand. Make sure you go and subscribe to russosbrand.com, patreon.com/RussoTWC to get a exclusive first look at all episodes of Wrestling with Tragedy. You can also find Wrestling with Tragedy every single week on YouTube and all podcast platforms. So please give us a subscribe, give us a thumbs up, like, share, all that good shit. Give us a 5-star review on all podcast platforms, wherever you're finding us. We greatly appreciate it. Blah, 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 blah.
But he's mumbling.
I'm turning into Kamala. Anyway, guys, without further ado, thank you very much. Thank you for tuning in. We'll see you next week for episode 100. Till then, stay safe. God bless. All the best. Take care. Peace.
Peace.
This is Vince Russo.